In 2008, millions of people lost everything: their homes, their savings, their businesses. Some had spent decades building wealth, only to watch it disappear in a matter of weeks. Yet something strange happened. While millions were panicking, a small group of people quietly became even wealthier. How? Did they know something everyone else didn't? Were they simply luckier? Or did they understand a truth about money that most people never discover? Here's the surprising part: the difference wasn't intelligence. It wasn't education. It wasn't even how much money they had. It was the way they thought, because money has a strange way of exposing who we really are. Give the same amount of money to 10 different people, and you'll get 10 completely different outcomes. Point 1 will invest it, point 1 will spend it, point 1 will protect it, another will lose it, not because they know different math, but because they carry different beliefs. The greatest financial battles are never fought in the stock market. They're fought inside the human mind. Every financial decision, every investment, every purchase, every risk, begins with a story we tell ourselves. A story about fear, about success, about security, about happiness. Most people spend their lives trying to understand money. Very few ever stop to understand themselves, and that's why some people build wealth almost effortlessly, while others never seem to get ahead, no matter how hard they work. Now, we're not going to teach you how to become rich overnight, because those promises rarely survive reality. Instead, we're going to explore something far more valuable: the invisible psychology that shapes every financial decision you'll ever make. Because once you change the way you think about money, you begin to change the way money works in your life, and that may be the most valuable investment you'll ever make. Money isn't about money. Imagine two people, both earn the same salary, both graduated from good universities, both are intelligent, both dream of becoming financially free. 20 years later, one owns multiple investments, sleeps peacefully, and never worries about money. The other lives paycheck to paycheck, constantly stressed, wondering where all the money went. What happened? Most people would immediately search for a logical explanation. Maybe one was smarter, maybe one worked harder, maybe one simply got lucky. But what if none of those answers explain the difference? What if the greatest factor behind financial success has almost nothing to do with numbers? That's because money isn't only a mathematical game. It's a psychological one. We often believe that financial decisions are rational, that people save because it makes sense, that people invest because the numbers are attractive, that people spend because they can afford it. Reality tells a very different story. Human beings rarely make financial decisions using logic alone. We make them using emotions: fear, hope, pride, envy, excitement, regret. These invisible emotions quietly shape almost every financial choice we make. Think about it. Have you ever bought something you didn't truly need, just because everyone else seemed to have it? A new phone, designer clothes, a luxury watch, not because your life depended on it, but because it made you feel successful. For a moment, that decision wasn't mathematical. It was emotional. Now imagine someone else, instead of spending that money, they quietly invest it. No one notices. No one applauds. Years later, the difference becomes enormous. Not because one person earned more, but because one person thought differently. Money has an incredible ability to reveal who we already are. Someone who lacks patience, money disappears quickly. Someone driven by ego, money becomes a competition. Someone who values freedom, money becomes a tool. The amount is often less important than the mindset behind it. History gives us countless examples: people who earned millions, only to lose everything, and ordinary individuals who never had spectacular incomes, yet quietly built extraordinary wealth over decades. How is that possible? Because earning money and keeping money require completely different skills. Making money often depends on opportunity. Keeping money depends on behavior, and behavior is shaped by psychology. Imagine receiving $1 million tomorrow. How would your life change? Most people immediately think about what they would buy. A bigger house, a luxury car, vacations, expensive clothes. Very few people ask a different question: how can I protect this money? How can I make it last? How can I use it to create freedom instead of temporary excitement? Those questions separate consumers from wealth builders. The world constantly encourages us to spend. Advertisements promise happiness. Social media rewards appearances. Success is often measured by what people can see, but real wealth is usually invisible. The investor quietly buying assets every month, the family living below their means, the entrepreneur who reinvests profits instead of showing them off. None of these choices attract attention. Yet they slowly build something far more valuable than status. They build security. Perhaps the biggest misunderstanding about money is believing that wealth begins with income. It doesn't. It begins with behavior. Two people can earn exactly the same amount. One becomes financially independent. The other remains trapped in an endless cycle of earning and spending. The difference isn't found in their bank account. It's found in their daily decisions. Small choices, repeated consistently. Every purchase, every investment, every temptation resisted, every decision delayed. These moments seem insignificant, until years pass, and suddenly, one life looks completely different from the other. That is the hidden truth about money. It rarely changes overnight. It changes quietly. One decision at a time, and once you understand that, you stop asking, How can I earn more? And you begin asking a far more powerful question. How can I think differently about money? Because the greatest investment you will ever make is not in stocks or real estate or cryptocurrency. It is in the mindset that guides every financial decision you make, and that mindset changes everything. ACT 2 The stories that quietly control your wealth. Imagine giving two children the exact same amount of money. One spends it before sunset. The other hides it inside a drawer. Years later, nothing has changed. One still spends first, the other still saves first. Why? Because long before we earn our first paycheck, we begin collecting stories about money, stories we never chose, stories we rarely question. Some people grow up hearing, money doesn't grow on trees. Others hear, rich people are greedy. Some are taught that saving is the safest path, others learn that money should be enjoyed before it's gone. These ideas seem harmless, but over time, they become invisible rules that quietly guide every financial decision we make. Think about your own life. What was the first lesson you ever learned about money? Did someone teach you to save? Or did you learn that money disappears as quickly as it arrives? Perhaps your parents worried about every bill, perhaps they never talked about money at all without realizing it. Children absorb everything. Not through lectures, but through observation. A child who watches constant financial stress may grow into an adult who fears every investment. Another child who sees reckless spending may believe debt is simply a normal part of life. Neither person is acting irrationally. They're following the financial script they learned years ago, and that's the fascinating part. Point 2 Intelligent adults can look at the exact same opportunity and make completely different decisions, not because one understands money better, but because each carries a different story. Imagine two friends receiving a bonus from work. The first immediately buys a luxury watch. For him, success must be visible. The second quietly invests the money. No celebration. No attention. Just another step toward financial freedom. Who's right? Perhaps both, because money is personal. Every financial decision reflects values more than calculations. This is why comparing yourself to others is so dangerous. You don't know the story behind someone's choices. You don't know the fears they carry, the lessons they inherited, or the sacrifices they made. Social media makes this even more complicated. Every day we're shown expensive vacations, luxury cars, perfect homes, designer clothes. What we rarely see are the loans, the stress, the uncertainty, or the years of disciplined saving that may have come before. The visible life is only a small chapter. The invisible story is much longer. Real financial confidence comes from understanding your own story before trying to imitate someone else's. Ask yourself simple questions. Why do I spend the way I do? Why do I fear losing money? Why do certain purchases make me feel successful? The answers may have nothing to do with your income, and everything to do with experiences you've carried for years. Changing your financial future doesn't always begin with earning more. Sometimes, it begins by rewriting the story you've been telling yourself. Because once your beliefs change, your choices begin to change. And when your choices change, your future quietly changes with them. Every fortune begins with a decision, but every decision begins with a belief, and beliefs can always be rewritten. ACT 3 Time builds what talent cannot. Imagine two people standing at the starting line. The first is brilliant. He understands every investment strategy. He reads financial news every morning. He predicts market trends with confidence. The second knows very little. She isn't obsessed with finance. She doesn't spend hours analyzing charts, but she has one advantage. She never stops moving forward. Month after month, year after year, she quietly invests a small amount of money. Nothing dramatic happens. There are no headlines. No overnight success. No celebration. To the outside world, it looks like nothing is changing, and that's exactly why most people quit. We live in a world addicted to visible progress. We expect results in weeks. We measure success in days. But some of life's greatest rewards refuse to follow that timeline. Think about a giant oak tree. For years, its growth seems slow, almost invisible, yet beneath the surface, its roots are spreading deeper and stronger. By the time people notice its size, the real work has already been done. Wealth often grows the same way, not with explosive moments, but with quiet consistency. This is why patience has become such a rare advantage. Most people don't fail because they lack intelligence, they fail because they underestimate time. When progress is slow, doubt begins to whisper, "This isn't working. I should try something else. I need faster results." And so they start over again and again, never giving any strategy enough time to succeed. Ironically, the desire to get rich quickly often becomes the greatest obstacle to building lasting wealth. Every new shortcut promises certainty. Every trend promises easy money. Every market boom convinces people that this time will be different. But lasting success rarely comes from chasing excitement. It comes from staying committed when nothing seems to be happening. There is a quiet confidence in people who understand this. They don't rush. They don't panic when the world panics. They don't celebrate every victory or fear every setback. They understand that one bad month doesn't define the future, just as one good month doesn't guarantee it. Life moves in seasons. So does wealth. There will be moments of uncertainty, unexpected setbacks, missed opportunities, but those moments are chapters, not the entire story. The people who eventually succeed aren't always the fastest. They're often the ones who simply refuse to stop. Every small decision, Every disciplined choice, every unnecessary purchase avoided, every investment made with patience, becomes another brick in a foundation that few people notice. Until one day, what once looked ordinary becomes extraordinary. People call it luck, they admire the outcome, but they never saw the years of invisible progress that made it possible. Time has a unique way of rewarding consistency, not because it guarantees success, but because it gives small decisions the chance to become life-changing ones, and perhaps that's the greatest lesson of all. The future isn't created in one extraordinary moment. It's created in ordinary moments, repeated with extraordinary consistency. Because in the end, time doesn't simply reveal who was right. It reveals who had the patience to keep going when everyone else gave up. Act 4. The cost of wanting more. Imagine you're climbing a mountain, you reach the first peak, the view is breathtaking, the air feels different. For a moment, you feel complete, then you notice another mountain. It's taller, more impressive. Suddenly, the peak you worked so hard to reach no longer feels enough. This is one of the most dangerous traps in human psychology. The finish line keeps moving. Not because our needs have changed, but because our expectations have. Money has an unusual power. It solves real problems. It creates opportunities. It buys comfort, but beyond a certain point, it begins to feed something much more difficult to satisfy: comparison. The moment we stop measuring our lives against our own goals, and start measuring them against someone else's, we lose. Think about social media. Every day, someone is buying a bigger house, driving a newer car, flying to another country, launching another business. From the outside, it looks like everyone is moving faster than you, but what you're seeing isn't reality. It's a highlight reel. No one posts the sleepless nights, the failed investments, the anxiety, the debt, the sacrifices hidden behind those pictures. Comparison creates an illusion. It convinces us that success belongs to everyone except ourselves, and when that illusion becomes strong enough, people begin making expensive decisions for cheap approval. They buy things they don't need, with money they haven't earned. To impress people who probably aren't paying attention. For a few seconds of admiration, followed by months, or years, of financial pressure. The irony is almost painful. Many people look wealthy, while quietly feeling trapped. Others appear ordinary, while building a life of freedom no one can see. Which one would you rather become? There is nothing wrong with ambition. There is nothing wrong with dreaming bigger. Progress is part of being human, but ambition becomes dangerous when more is never enough, because if enough is always somewhere in the future, peace will always stay out of reach. Real wealth isn't measured by how much you own. It's measured by how little controls you. Can you enjoy success without needing constant validation? Can you celebrate someone else's achievements without questioning your own worth? Can you say, "This is enough for today"? Those questions have nothing to do with money, yet they shape every financial decision you'll ever make. The wealthiest mindset isn't built on endless desire. It's built on clarity, knowing what truly matters, knowing what is worth pursuing, and what isn't, because every dollar you spend is also a decision about the life you're choosing to build. Some people spend to be admired, others spend to create freedom. The amount may look the same, but the destination couldn't be more different. Perhaps the greatest luxury in the modern world isn't owning more. It's finally feeling that you have enough. And the moment you discover that feeling, money stops becoming a race and starts becoming a tool. A tool to build a life that belongs to you, not one designed to impress everyone else. ACTV: The wealth nobody sees. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine walking through one of the richest neighborhoods in the world. Luxury cars line the streets, massive homes stand behind elegant gates, designer clothes, private jets. Everything around you seems to scream one message: this is what wealth looks like. But is it? The truth is, real wealth is surprisingly difficult to see. You can see a Lamborghini, you can see a Rolex, you can see a mansion sitting on a hill, but you cannot see the investment portfolio quietly growing in someone's account. You cannot see the emergency fund that took years to build. You cannot see the debt someone has hidden behind an expensive lifestyle. And you certainly cannot see the financial discipline that made true wealth possible. The world rewards what is visible, but wealth is often invisible. Imagine two neighbors. Every morning, one leaves his house in a brand new luxury car, the other drives the same old sedan he's owned for years. Everyone assumes they know who's richer, but assumptions can be dangerously misleading. The man with the luxury car may still be making payments he'll struggle to afford for years. The man driving the old sedan may own businesses, investments, and enough financial freedom to retire whenever he chooses. One looks wealthy, the other is wealthy. There's a difference. A very expensive difference. Some of the most financially successful people live lives that appear surprisingly ordinary. They don't need to prove anything. They don't chase attention. They understand something that many people never learn. Money grows best when it's left alone. Every dollar spent trying to impress someone is one less dollar building your future. It's easy to admire visible success, but visible success often tells only half the story. Real wealth is silent. It doesn't need applause. It doesn't ask for validation. It works quietly. Behind the scenes. Think about a tree. You admire its branches, its leaves, its height, but none of those things would exist without roots buried deep beneath the ground. Invisible, ignored, yet absolutely essential. Financial freedom works the same way. The savings no one sees, the investments no one talks about, the habits repeated every month without excitement. These are the roots, and over time, those invisible roots become impossible to shake. The modern world constantly encourages us to spend before we build. To appear successful before becoming successful. To own symbols of wealth, instead of creating wealth itself. But appearances fade, real security doesn't. One gives you compliments, the other gives you peace, and when life becomes uncertain, only one of them will still be standing. Perhaps that's why the wealthiest people aren't always the loudest. Sometimes, the richest person in the room is the one nobody notices, because true wealth isn't measured by what people can see. It's measured by the choices they never knew you made, the decision to wait, the decision to save, the decision to invest, the decision to live below your means. Even when you could have chosen otherwise, those decisions rarely make headlines, but they build something far greater than attention. They build freedom, and in the end, freedom is the only luxury that never goes out of style. Act 6 Freedom is the greatest luxury. Imagine waking up tomorrow, not because an alarm forced you to, but because you chose to. Imagine looking at your calendar and realizing that every hour belongs to you. No pressure. No deadlines you hate. No constant fear of losing your paycheck. For many people, that sounds like the definition of being rich, yet society often teaches us something very different. We're told that wealth looks like expensive watches, luxury cars, private jets, massive houses, but those things are only symbols. They are not the reward. The real reward is freedom, the freedom to choose how you spend your time, the freedom to say no, the freedom to walk away from work that no longer aligns with your values, the freedom to be present with your family. To travel when you want. To start something meaningful. Or simply, to enjoy a quiet afternoon without worrying about tomorrow. Ironically, many people spend their entire lives chasing luxury, while sacrificing the very freedom that money is supposed to provide. They earn more, then spend more, they receive a raise, then increase their lifestyle. Every new level of income creates another level of obligation, until one day, they realize they're earning more than ever before, yet they've never felt less free. This is known as lifestyle inflation. It's one of the quietest traps in modern life. The more we earn, the more we convince ourselves we need. A bigger apartment. A newer car, more subscriptions, more status, more comfort. Without noticing, our expenses begin growing just as fast as our income, and the finish line moves further away, again and again. But freedom doesn't come from spending everything you earn. It comes from creating space between what you make and what you need. That space becomes options, options become confidence, confidence becomes freedom. Imagine two people earning exactly the same salary. One spends nearly every dollar, the other saves and invests a small portion each month. 5 years pass, then 10. Unexpected challenges appear. One person is forced to accept every opportunity, even the ones they hate. The other has choices, because financial freedom isn't about never working. It's about never being trapped. Money can't buy happiness, but it can buy time. It can buy flexibility. It can buy peace of mind. And sometimes, those things are worth far more than luxury itself. The people who understand this rarely chase attention. They don't need to prove they're successful, because success, to them, is waking up each morning with the ability to choose how they work, choose where they live, choose who they spend their time with, choose the life they truly want. Perhaps that is the greatest purpose of money, not to impress strangers, not to win a competition, but to create a life that belongs entirely to you, because in the end, the richest person isn't the one who owns the most. It's the one who needs the least to feel free. Final Act 1 decision changes everything. Imagine yourself, 20 years from now. Your hair is a little grayer, your face carries the marks of experience. You sit quietly by a window, looking back on your life. You remember the opportunities you took, the mistakes you made, the risks you avoided, the dreams you chased, and suddenly, you realize something. Your life was never shaped by one extraordinary decision. It was shaped by thousands of ordinary ones. Every dollar you saved, every impulse you resisted, every investment you made, every unnecessary expense you avoided. At the time, none of those choices felt important. They seemed too small to matter. But life has a remarkable way of rewarding consistency. Tiny decisions, repeated over years, become extraordinary outcomes. This is why so many people misunderstand wealth. They search for the perfect investment, the perfect business, the perfect opportunity. As if success arrives in one dramatic moment. But the truth is far less exciting, and far more powerful. Financial freedom is rarely built overnight. It's built quietly. 1 habit at a time. 1 decision at a time. 1 day at a time. The future isn't something that suddenly appears. It's something you build every single day. The way you spend, the way you save, the way you think, the way you react when life becomes uncertain. Those choices become your future. Money itself is neither good nor bad. It simply amplifies who you already are. If you value patience, money rewards patience. If you value freedom, money can help protect it. If you chase status, money will always ask for more. The question has never been, how much money do you have? The real question is, what kind of life are you trying to build? Because wealth isn't measured only by numbers. It's measured by peace. By freedom. By the ability to spend your time on what truly matters. Perhaps that's the greatest lesson of all. Money is a tool, not a destination. A servant, not a master, and the most valuable investment you'll ever make will never appear on a bank statement. It is the investment you make in your own. You'll look back and realize that everything changed the moment you stopped asking, "How can I become rich?" and started asking, "How can I become wiser?" Because in the end, the greatest fortunes are not built by those who know the most, they are built by those who think differently. Act consistently, and never stop learning. Your future is being written today, one decision at a time.